honored if you would join us.
Greetings and welcome to another YouTube episode of Film Stories with me, Dan Cooper. This episode we have an interview with producer Mally Elfman. Mally produced the new Karen Gillan film, which is out in cinemas and on video on demand this month here in December. The Party's Just Beginning, written, directed and starring Karen Gillan. Before we jump in, there is another episode available on the channel where we also chat to Mally. And please do like and subscribe, comment. I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. Let's jump into the interview. With this film, The Party's Just Beginning in particular, how did you've managed to secure, like you said, a video on demand release, a cinema release? What is it? Is it just hard work? Is there a trick to it that you've learned throughout your career?
I wish there was a trick. Honestly, we partnered with Bluefinch, who saw the film and I think really actually understood it, which was really nice to have somebody actually support it in a way that I think it needed to be supported. And I think it's hard work. You persevere, you never stop, and then it is a bit of luck that the right person finds it at the right time as well.
Yeah.
And I think the only way that you're ready for that luck when it comes across, because it will. You will eventually find that moment, that breaking point. It always does happen, and it seems like it's impossible, and trust me, I know. But you have to keep doing the work, and it means, Karen and I were on the ground. We went and did that UK tour all by ourselves. We went to get this film made. Nobody was supporting us for a long time. We flew out to the UK, found all these department heads, but we partnered with Claire Mundell over at Synchronicity, and we went out and met with her, we scouted locations, we did all these things without anybody ever saying that they would ever give us a dime. And I think that we literally, I remember when we were in prep, I just refused to leave Scotland until we made the film, and that, I think that it kind of takes that. And it's a little bit insane, but it takes being a little bit insane to make indie films, so.
Yeah, I've heard. I think it's Danny Boyle said that before. Is you just kind of keep on pushing on with pre-production, and no one says no. Then eventually, suddenly, you're making the film, and everyone's just kind of realised that it's happened. Do you think? Go on, sorry.
I mean, you just get a million no's. I mean, I literally, whenever people are like, "Oh, do you get discouraged?" Or I just had another project that I got a no on, and I'm like, "No, not at all." It means that they weren't the right partner. It's not the right time. We just keep going. We never stop. And eventually, that's how you will get it made. And it's look, I feel for all the independent filmmakers out there because I'm out there, and it doesn't get much easier. After you've made a few films, you're still fighting for something, and oftentimes you're taking bigger and bigger risks. So the fight just becomes more and more apparent. So keep going.
Keep trucking. Do you think? I mean, do you feel? You said this film spoke to you as a woman. Do you feel that as a female filmmaker producer that this year we've seen? You've worked in this film for 7 years. You said so. I suppose it's more complex than that. But do you feel now we're seeing a kind of a turn around the corner for filmmakers and storytellers that want to tell films? Want to tell stories or make films that push kind of female characters or female narratives in more interesting and progressive directions?
I'm completely torn on this one, and the answer is yes and no. I don't think the change has actually happened yet. I think we are starting to see the change. We are starting to see more female filmmakers. I'm still getting, there's still a lot of, if you want a female perspective, get a female writer. Have a female director work on it, and have a female producer support them. I am a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
And putting more women at the helm. And there are, of course, exceptions to every rule, but I think making that the rule and then allowing for when you break that to be the exception is the important thing. And we're not quite there yet. And I hear a lot of people saying that they want female-driven stories, but yet I'm not seeing a ton of them being financed.
Right.
Nor being financed for the level that they need to be able to execute it in order to have a big theatrical release, in order to warrant that huge P&A budget. They're not being given the budget to make the film properly, so that therefore they can these filmmakers can deliver the film for distribution to do that. So I think it's a little bit challenging. I will say it is much easier. I remember when Karen and I were first pitching The Party's Just Beginning, literally people would say there's no market for a female-driven story like this. Like, there's no market for female directors right now. Like, sorry, we just can't sell this. When we went out for certain things, the foreign market is still still a bit of a challenge for us, to be honest, but we are starting to get more support as we go. And I'm starting to see the change, and I'm starting to see, I don't know that the doors are open, but I think that maybe, we've started prying them open with all of our hammers and, tools and everything else, and we're just starting to see the light. But I really think that we can't stop pushing that, nor think that get complacent about where we are, because I think that this is truly just the beginning. And until we're seeing, 50-50 directing, or let's go 70-30 for a while with female directors.
Yeah.
And then we can go back to the middle.
Just, even things up historically. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see the Oscars 50-50. I want to see, I want to see Cannes 50-50 maybe in the future. Wouldn't that be nice? It's still hard for the marketplace, and it's still, let's not be the exception to the rule anymore. Let's swap that.
Yeah. Just moving away from the film itself for a moment, just the last couple of questions. You're on the ground as a producer. You probably, when you watch a film, you may have having a greater understanding of the levels of work that had to go in on a production kind of level. So could you point our audience to a film or two maybe that they're not as familiar with, where you know that the film story behind that meant that the producers really went above and beyond?
Oh, that's tricky. I mean, any independent film literally ever made is kind of the answer to that one. I'm trying to think about specific films. The hard part is, as a producer, is that you also don't know everything that another producer is doing. It's sometimes hard because we all have our own way of doing things, and we all set our own rhythms.
Yeah.
I do know Dave Lawson over at Rustic Films, who works with Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who just had the Endless premiere. And I mean, I don't think there's anything that man won't do. There's an amazing story. We've taught a few classes over at USC together, or spoken at a few classes, and he loves to tell a story about how one day it was there was a dead pig on set, and how he had to remove that from set. And it's like sometimes that's the job of a producer. And there's Adam Hendricks over at Divide Conquer, who has been a very support. What's nice about the genre community and producers in it is that everybody really supports one another. There's not a big competition. We know that there's enough work, and it's more about how to make sure that everybody is able to keep working. So there's actually been, a number of really great producers, and I honestly don't know their stories. I know that they would do just about anything to make sure that a film gets made and at a certain level of quality, and with people with a certain level of dignity and integrity, even if that is sometimes scraping a dead pig off the ground. Sometimes that's what is necessary.
If that's the job, that's the job. That must transpose into your own life. You must never run out of milk, or be late for an appointment.
It's actually, I have a big thing about being late. I'm never late for anything. I'm very much on time. And I do love baking. I'm known for baking a lot, and I think it's probably because it's a way of putting order together. And
yeah.
I'm very immersed in the immersive world, and also escape rooms. And I think the reason why I love this whole escape room thing that's kind of popped up is you're going to go into a room, there's going to be a series of problems, and in an hour you're going to be done. And I never get to be done with all of my problems in an hour, so I think that's fantastic. But I think producers tend to be puzzle-minded people. I love putting together, when I'm starting a project, putting together the schedule. There's this term that's creative producer, and I understand that I probably fall into that where I am a creative producer, but the creative completely relies on the practical. So as much as I can be a creative producer and usher through an idea and script and champion a director, I have to have a strong understanding of how that is working in the schedule, who we are hiring, what we are ordering, which vendors we're working with, in order to make that work. So for me, the hardest part of a production is day one of prep and building that entire roadmap for everybody. Yeah. And that's actually my favorite part too.
Mally, thank you so much for your time. Clearly, it's at a premium, so I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us. And would urge everyone to go and see The Pot Is Just Beginning, because it is a beautiful yet harrowing film. A really memorable film.
Well, thank you for taking the time. This is it's such an important film that meant so much to Karen and I, and we fought for it for years. And it's an honor and privilege to have it actually finally coming back out in the UK. So thank you.
So that was our chat with Mally. Please do, if you haven't already, subscribe so you can get more film stories. We're back here every week with interviews with people from the film world. In the meantime, don't forget that you can get more film stories. You can check out our print magazine, which this month also features The Party's Just Beginning, Karen Gillan as the cover star. This Film Stories Junior, a magazine written for young people by young people. And if you want more film stories on top of that, you can of course check out the website filmstories.co.uk, where there's long form writing and news stories every day. There's the whole Film Stories project on Twitter at Film Stories Pod, Facebook at Film Stories Online, and the excellent range of podcasts at a podcast download of your choice. And I'll see you back here next week with another film story. Bye bye now.